Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another great episode of the Van Buren Variety Show. I am Bob Van Buren, your host, with you once a week with an interesting guest about a very, very interesting topic. So glad you're all here. To all the people that come and tune in week after week to watch this show live, thank you so much for your support. Glad you've subscribed. Glad you are my loyal audience out there and you know who you are. But if this is your first time to log into this show and see what's going on, whether or not you're seeing it live or whether or not you see it recorded days, weeks, months from now, make sure you hit that subscribe button. That way you can keep in touch with all the latest guests and their topics coming up. And if you really like tonight's episode and tonight's guest and interview, make sure you hit that like button too. And of course, we always encourage you to comment. And I will make sure that the guest tonight sees those comments. And that way you can get more feedback on this topic that I'm sure you will find very, very interesting, because I do. Hope you've all had a great week so far. I have. Went to a Vietnam Veterans Memorial last weekend. Very, very good. Very, very touching. There was a lot of things there that many of the guys that were in that war have donated. Many of their stories there, and it's very, very, very interesting. And so, if you haven't thanked a vet already, thank a vet, because we really appreciate what they've done. So whether or not it's Vietnam or World War I, World War II, Korea, and I could go on and on and on. Operation Iraqi Freedom, and all the military people that are either retired or still active. We really appreciate it. So it was a very, very, very interesting tour of this Vietnam War Veterans Museum. I took my mother along with me, as she lived through that area and saw a lot of the news reports at the time. So it was a very, very good weekend. Hope you've all had a good weekend as well. It's kind of hot where I'm at right now, triple digit weather, so no rain in sight. So hopefully, if you've got any rain, can you come send it down to Texas? We could really, really use it right now. So anyway, I've had a great week, just being a little toasty now. So again, thank you all for being to the show, and I hope you really enjoyed tonight's episode. Tonight's episode is a topic that I'm sure most everybody has heard about, but like me, don't really know any more about it. So hopefully tonight's guest will be able to fill in those blanks that we all have. And I encourage you, those that are watching this live, if you have questions during the show, make sure you comment, and I'll make sure that those get discussed. So what actually is artificial intelligence? Now, we've all heard about it. We've all seen the shows. We've seen pictures and drawings, as you would see it right here. But it's probably not just limited to that, to robots. Artificial intelligence, from what my limited study that I've done, can be anything. It's a limited amount of possibilities with artificial intelligence. And we're going to be talking about some of that tonight, and hopefully you'll learn as much as I'm going to learn, I'm sure, tonight. So without further ado, let me bring my guest on for tonight's episode. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to David Hailey. He's going to tell us more about artificial intelligence and probably answer some of the questions that we've all had for a very long, long time. So, David, welcome to the Van Buren Variety Show.
Hello. How you doing? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you perfect. Thank you very much for joining tonight.
No problem. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So we'll just start out. Like I said, even though I'm kind of in technology in a way, I'll admit I'm completely ignorant when it comes to artificial intelligence. So, I guess you're going to laugh, but the only thing when I think of artificial intelligence, I think about the Terminator movies. And so I don't like that. Hopefully that's an extreme version of that.
Exactly. I think Terminator and iRobot and those kind of movies kind of make the term artificial intelligence more cinematic, like, and make it sexy, make you want to tune in to understand what it's about. But it's really not that complicated from a holistic perspective. It's really, how can I make a computer program, whether it's your phone, your computer, how can I make it act or think like a human thinks, right? So it's intelligence. It's just artificial intelligence doing a computation. So even a calculator, right? Instead of you adding 4 plus 4 in a calculator, it's spitting out 8. How you can do that in your mind. So a calculator is also, if you think about it, a form of artificial intelligence.
You mentioned that, like, it could be a little small calculator, but it also could be what we call these supercomputers.
It can be a supercomputer. It can be the Alexa in a lot of people's houses, right? You call out Alexa, what is the capital of Texas, for example, right?
Yeah.
And it'll
Hmm.
tell you instead of back if you did not know the answer. Years ago, we might have like looked in an encyclopedia or done something like that, or asked someone. But now we have computer that is doing that work for us instead of a human doing the work. So that's really artificial intelligence. It's not a human intelligence. It's artificial because it's a not a live or a live being that's actually doing the work for you.
Basically, a machine or it's a computer, basically.
Exactly, exactly, exactly it. So it's nothing to be scared of, Bob.
Right.
Nothing to be scared of. At least the artificial intelligence I know about. Now I'm sure there's other things that NASA and some other countries are working on that we might need to be
Area
concerned
51.
about.
Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. But for my level of simple intelligence,
Sure.
that's what we need to worry about.
Yeah, we'll talk about the Arnold Schwarzenegger and the Skynet later on.
Exactly,
That's way in
exactly.
the future.
That's another conversation.
It seems like on the news lately, all the news networks, in social media, we hear a lot more about artificial intelligence. So, why, in your opinion, David, why is there such a rise lately in artificial intelligence?
I think it's more and more a part of our daily lives.
Hmm.
Everyone that you know has a phone in their pocket, right? Everybody has a
Yep,
phone,
I got an
and so
iPhone.
exactly, everybody has a phone in their pocket, and so the Apple's job and Android's job is to keep us attached to this phone as much as possible, right? And so the way they do that is making things easier for us. So
Hmm.
if it knows where the grocery store is, if it knows how to get to a certain location, if it knows how to tell you what to eat, keep up with your diet, if it knows how to tell you how to work out, when to work out, things like that. I mean, overall goal is how can we make humans more efficient, right? And it's
Hmm.
not as I know we think about it as being as complicated as possible, which it is. But I think the goal of these companies is how can we use artificial intelligence to benefit us. Now, I think in the long run, sometimes it's not always a benefit, but that's the goal.
Sure. And I can kind of relate. I did a show many, many episodes ago. It wasn't the entire episode, but I talked about I have sleep apnea. And so I use a
Hmm.
CPAP at night. But on my phone, uh, after I take the mask off and I go to work, there's an app on my phone where I click on it. It actually tells me how long I slept. Did I
Right.
have any blockage during the night? Uh, if there was any leaks in the seal, where I didn't get as much pressure
Right.
as I want. So again, that guess that would be artificial intelligence doing that.
In a
Correct?
sense, right. If you think about it, that because someone, if you didn't have that machine or if you didn't have that app, someone, a human, a nurse, or someone would have to be beside you, in a sense, taking down that information, right?
Mm-hmm.
Monitoring how you sleep. And now, as a part of that, it is something, an application that is artificially doing the work that a human would do. Right? I think at the simplest forms, that's what it is. And so, there's no need to be frightened to think, our phones are coming to get us or things like that. I think it's at the simplest form. It's just something that is supposed to make our life easier by not having a human do them and making the process automated.
Interesting. It's yeah, really. I mean, and we need smart people like you to
I don't,
help us all along.
I
So
don't know about that. I just try to make things that are complicated or seem complicated as simple as possible, so people like me can understand. Right? It's not just smart people. Like I don't think I'm that smart, but people like the general public can understand. My 9-year old can understand it as well, and sometimes they're a lot smarter on these devices than any of us. Right? But I think it's that's how we try to do. That's what I
well,
try to do.
I'm me personally. I may have to look online for artificial intelligence for dummies.
Right?
Hopefully, I bet there's a book like that out there
I'm
somewhere.
sure. I'm sure there is. I'm sure there is. But yeah, man, I think it's anything that we are apprehensive about or unsure about. I think there's a ton of research out there, right? You
Hmm.
can Google you Google anything nowadays, and it'll tell you. It'll tell you almost anything that you want to know about it.
Well, let me ask you: when did you become interested in artificial intelligence? And can you kind of briefly tell us about your work or kind of what you've
Yeah,
done?
not a problem. So I'm actually an accountant by trade. I did not start in the tech industry at
Okay.
all. But I started. I was working in the airline industry for about 8 9 years, and
Okay.
I realized airlines don't do a great job of managing onboard inventory. That's food, beer, wine,
I've heard
drinks,
that.
and
Mm-hmm.
liquor that you enjoy while you're on the plane. And so what I thought about is there has to be a better way to manage these items, because airlines globally spend billions and billions of dollars on this
Oh
stuff.
yeah, they
And what I
do.
realized is there's a lot of theft, there's a lot of shrinkage, things just go missing when there aren't a lot of controls.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did, I started a company. The company is called Countify, Countifi.
Mm-hmm.
And what we do, and we started off in the airline space, is we actually take pictures of the trays, the beverage trays, and the food that comes off planes, and we count it. We count it automatically using computer vision and artificial intelligence, right?
Oh
So
wow,
if you
interesting.
think about a beverage tray that might have 15 cans of Coca-Cola, 10 cans of Sprite, so 5 cans of Dr. Pepper, instead of someone manually counting those items, we'll sit down in about a second, take a picture of that item, of that tray, and
Oh
we'll tell
really?
them exactly what's inside of it. So what it does is
Wow.
it removes the need for someone to count it. But also, if you think about a flight from Atlanta, Georgia to Houston, Texas, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we see that over in that flight that 50% of the Coca-Colas are not being consumed, then if that's the case, then we don't necessarily need, we can reduce that inventory by that 50%, right? I can take those items off
Mm-hmm.
the plane. And so what that does is reduce my inventory costs because I don't have to buy that Coke. It also reduces the labor that's associated with putting that Coke in that tray. And then it
Mm-hmm.
also reduces the fuel costs, right? Because every pound of fuel every pound of weight on the plane has a fuel coefficient,
That's
right?
true.
And so we can reduce those fuel costs as well. So that's what we try to do with our airline clients. How can we reduce inventory costs, reduce your labor costs, and also reduce your fuel costs?
You brought up a lot of good points, but two of them that I noticed was talking about how why put Coke on there if you're not really selling that. That's where the efficiency comes in. Okay,
Correct.
that's number one. Number two, you mentioned that this artificial intelligence in this case does all your inventory counts and everything. So in this case, it completely negates any human error. Because humans, I mean, unfortunately, we are not flawless. I mean, we could
We
say there were 7,107 when there were actually 7,105 or 7,010.
Exactly. Exactly. We are very well, humans are very flawed, right? And so what that does is allows us to these tasks that can be very repetitive, we can replace that and have the human doing something that's more efficient, right? Add
Mm-hmm.
add efficiency to that task, and the human can do something that is more important to the company. And so it's not necessarily taking away a job; it's adding efficiency to a process.
And I agree. In fact, a lot of banks now, I know people in the banking industry, they have what they call cash recyclers. Whereas if a
Hmm.
teller before, in many decades past, would have to go to the vault and hand count, all the hundreds, hand count all the 50s. And number one, that's time consuming. You're taking a teller
Right.
off of the line. Number two, again, unfortunately, you have that possibility for human error, human miscounting, where these cash recyclers, I mean, you put it in, and I mean, it counts it.
Right. I've
It
seen them.
breaks it down, but
Yeah.
it breaks it down by denomination. I mean,
Yep.
no error. So again,
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen those. And one thing what we do as well, talking about adding efficiency, we also have healthcare clients as well. So we install cameras in hospital storerooms. And so
mm-hmm.
hospital storerooms and other places where we'll take pictures of medical devices or the medical inventory
Oh well.
as well, or assets. And we'll take multiple pictures a day and we'll count those items as well. And so what that does is, especially with staffing shortages that the healthcare industry is
Yep.
dealing with now,
Sure.
instead of a nurse or somebody in supply chain going into that room to manually count, we then install our cameras, we take pictures, and we give them a detailed report of everything that's in that storeroom, right? And so it adds efficiency back where the nurse, he or she, doesn't have to count. They can go
Mm-hmm.
back to saving lives, right? Which is the most important thing that a
Absolutely.
hospital does. So yeah, so it's a myriad of applications that we have. We can either count beer or we can count medical devices.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter.
Hey,
I like count beer the best.
me too. Yes. Uh huh. It
Yeah.
doesn't stay too long around me though. So
Exactly. They're always a couple short when I count them. So
absolutely. Yeah. We don't know what happened. We just count. It was human error. Yeah.
human error. Exactly. Exactly.
But one of the concerns, and I'm sure a lot of the pushback that I've heard on artificial intelligence is probably the question I'll ask you: will people no longer be necessary in the workplace as a result of artificial intelligence?
Oh no, people will always be necessary. People will always be needed because I think someone still has to train the computer, right? Even within our
Mm-hmm.
business, we still have people that have to train the computers first, right? So we can't just take pictures of stuff and the computer automatically knows what's going on. So we
Mm-hmm.
actually have to tell the computer exactly what a can of Coke looks like, what a bottle
That's
of
right.
Bacardi looks like, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we still are very people intensive, right? We still need people to do that. And if you think about an airline, like things are changing all the time. How many times have you got on a plane and the menu has changed? We used to offer
Yep.
Bud Light, now we offer Miller Lite, right? So, and with those changes, you still have to retrain the computer vision or the artificial intelligence as well. So, no,
Sure.
this is not outplace people or displace people. People will always be needed. In my industry, at least, people will always be needed
Mm-hmm.
to tell the machine what to do. It's similar to my wife, right?
Sure.
She's always going to be needed to tell me what to do, right?
Yeah. Hey, that's called honeydews, though.
That's honeydews, exactly, exactly. Always you need to tell me what. So yes, people will always be needed to tell the computer what to do.
And you brought up a good point. I mean, some of the jobs, even today, are done by machine, computer that 100 years ago were done manually. And
That's true.
so,
That's true.
but like you brought up a good point with any computer, artificial intelligence, and I'm sure you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you'll need, like, for example, engineers to work on it. You
Yep.
need developers to update the software, and then you'll
Yep.
need like quality assurance software testers to make sure it works before it goes out into production. So those people are
That-
still needed.
That's very true. That's very true. And so we have, and I think the skill level goes up the kind of up the spectrum. We have on our team, very entry level workers that come in and help us, train the models, tell exactly what the
Mm-hmm.
images are. We have our lead engineer is a PhD, right? A PhD in computer science that actually is writing the code. So I think we have to have a full spectrum of the type of worker that you would think. So it's not just have to be highly, highly educated to work with artificial intelligence. I think your workforce has to be very diverse and very broad to make sure things are are,
Absolutely.
are in place.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you see, or what is the state of inventory management, and why does it matter?
Well, you think so, coming out of COVID, I think it allowed all big companies or required all big companies to really focus on cost, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can't,
Oh yeah, sure.
we were in a very bustling economy, right? The economy is cyclical anyway, right? The economy
It
goes up
is.
and down.
Mm-hmm.
There's peaks and
Absolutely.
troughs in a cycle, and so now we looks like we're potentially going into a recession or a trough possibly. But as before COVID happened, the economy was booming, right? The economy was booming. Things were and price companies were making money. The stock market was doing relatively well, and I think what the what the pandemic caused companies to do is like, hey, we cannot continue to spend money like we were pre-pandemic, right? We have to make
Mm-hmm.
sure our financial house is in order. So inventory, a lot of companies, inventory might be their number two or number three cost, right?
I
Usually
see.
behind airlines have planes and it's inventory, right? And
I
so
see.
what we do is make sure they have better controls over that inventory to help them reduce costs. So I think
I see.
any industry that is going to have it has inventory has to have better controls over that inventory,
I
and that's
see.
what we at Countify do. And then if we even talk about how we can be more sustainable as a globe, right? So we know there's a lot of waste, and so what we do is how we can help companies be more sustainable, and we can reduce these inventories inventory amount, reduce your carbon footprint to help you meet your sustainability goals, which almost every company has sustainability goals now.
For sure. Kind of what you said. Now, I'm sure we've all seen this. We go to your local department store or your local grocery store, and you've seen the manager or assistant manager with those little price guns, and there's
Yep.
always a barcode on these shelves, like say a can of green beans. They can aim it and they scan that barcode, and they can know how much is on the shelf, how much is in the storeroom, and how much has already went out the door by scanning that barcode. So
Yep.
again, artificial intelligence.
That's artificial intelligence, right? And I think a lot of especially in the retail space, the margins can be really, really thin, right? So my inventory is my cash cow. How I manage my inventory might tell me whether I can hire people, next year, or I have to let people go next year. But based on how efficiently I manage my inventory. So any company that has inventory what we say, any company that has inventory has an inventory problem, right? Because there's always an issue with inventory. And that's why we at Countify try to come in and help them solve those issues.
That sounds great. I have some more questions for her, but we do have a comment from the audience watching live.
Yes, sir.
And I'd like
No
to
problem.
get your comment on it. It's not a question. She made a comment. I'll bring it up on our screen here. Sandra Piper says, I have a pacemaker and a home monitor that connects to my doctor's office. I guess when the monitor becomes unplugged, I received a phone call from the doctor's office making sure I was still kicking.
Okay, well, that's good. Yeah, because is that the whole question? Is that the whole
Yeah, that's just a comment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
No, that's true, because the luckily your pacemaker and that monitor is monitoring that pacemaker, that device is constantly on and sending a signal, a heartbeat, right? And so if it doesn't, then somebody needs to be alerted. So you are still kicking. We use the same type technology in our cameras. Our cameras have a heartbeat, and so if something happens to that heartbeat, we get notified instantly. It's probably something very similar to what your doctor, the notification that your doctor received. And I'm glad he received the notification. I'm glad that it works.
Yeah, we're glad you're still kicking, Sandra. Thank you for the comment.
Glad you're still kicking. Exactly.
Okay. Well, let's see. What about you've shared a few stories, but could you share some other stories, or even more stories, should I say, for our audience, for me too, about working with airliners, colleges, and hospitals using AI to improve their workflow?
Yeah, we have. I mean, I have one example of an airline that we're working with. That's an international airline that we're working with and helping them monitor food. We look at the food that comes off the plane to understand what people are eating. And, people and airlines obviously care a lot about this because that's one of their main costs, right? And so we were looking at a particular airline and noticed that 30% of the salads were not being eaten, right? And we think, okay, it's a big deal, but also we say, okay, the cost of a salad might be on the $3. But we noticed also if the salad wasn't eaten, and people were not using the salad dressing, and people might not use the salt and pepper or the pepper that they put on their salad. So having a $4 problem became like a $6 or $7 problem very easily because all the condiments that came along with the salad, right? And so we see things like that all the time where we go in and look at one particular problem and say have a cost associated with it. Yeah, this is a $5 cost. It's still a big deal, but then you multiply that. Now we see, the salad dressing, the salt, pepper, other things might now be a $7 cost or $8 cost. And they're still not a huge deal, but then you multiply by the millions of flights a year, right? You think about how many flights, American, Delta, United, they all have over.
Wow, just innumerable. Yeah.
They all, I think they all have about 3 million flights per year.
Wow.
Right? So if you think about that, and say, hey, $8 per flight might not be a big deal, but now we're talking about 8 times 3 million flights. Now we're talking about a $24 million problem.
Wow.
Right? And so things like that, with the type of volume you see, it can just blow your mind away, and the type of waste. So that's what we try to do, is come in and say, yes, you might have thought it was an $8 problem, but you actually have a $24 million problem, right? And how can we help solve it together?
You mentioned your website earlier, and I'm going to bring that on the screen for people to see and check out. Is this is www.countify.com?
Countify.com. Yep, that is us.
So let's let our audience know, if they was to click on this, what would they see?
Yep. So you come to our website. There's a demo that shows you kind of exactly what we do. We are a computer vision artificial intelligence company that allows we give data to our clients to allow them to make better decisions. But we have several verticals. We have where we work with airlines and we work with hospitals are our two main verticals. We also work with universities and construction companies as well to help them count items, to remove the manual counting process and add efficiency to their inventory process. So there's a way that you can go and see demo how it works. There's even an inventory savings calculator that we have on our site. You type in
Really? Oh,
your
wow.
yeah, you type in your the value of your inventory, and you click calculate, and it shows you potentially how much the Countify platform can save you. We have we have a blog that's called Count It Up on the site that shows you kind of what. And I go and interview people, entrepreneurs and other people,
Oh,
innovators
really?
in the
Wow.
space. And we also have white papers that talk about kind of other projects that we've done and how we save our clients money. So there's a bunch of stuff on our site that you can go to and learn more about Countify and learn more about computer vision and artificial intelligence.
Okay. Well, let me ask you, on your company, do you handle different companies with different different needs, or is there certain specialties that you have in your company?
Yeah, so we do specialize in airlines and
Okay.
healthcare, right? Those
Okay.
are our two main specialties.
Two
Um,
important ones too.
Two important ones, man.
Yeah.
We're focused on those truthfully because there is a lot. I mean, inventory is a wide problem, right? It's
It
a wide
is.
issue, and so
Shrinkage, everything.
everybody has there's a lot of other companies that manage inventory in the retail space, right? You think about your Walmarts, Amazons, your grocery stores, from your Krogers and Publix,
Albertsons,
things
all
like
of them.
that.
Yeah.
Albertsons, exactly. So there's a lot of other companies that focus on those spaces. And so what we have found a niche in airlines and hospitals. And also we have, like I said, several clients in the university and the construction space as well.
Mm-hmm.
But we see we can focus on airlines and hospitals and helping them save money, helping them be more sustainable, then we can really make a difference.
On your company, is it certain hardware that like a client would need? Is it certain software, or is it a combination of both?
So it's a combination of both. We are a
Okay.
full scale platform. We're a
You
full
are?
scale
Okay. All right.
hardware and software platform. Well, we come in, we'll explain the benefits of our software, and we have cameras. So we will install the cameras that you need to take the pictures. We also have a mobile application, a mobile app that can take pictures with the mobile app as well. It really depends on. So we take a very consultative approach with our clients, to getting understanding of kind of what they are, what their problems are, and how we can make sure our solution will solve their problem. We don't go in and say, "Here's the Counterpart platform. Good luck."
Good
We
luck
are
to you.
very
Yeah.
consult.
Sales. You
Exactly.
said the
We're
word sales and support.
sales and support. Exactly. Take a very consultative approach to make sure we understand what your problems are, so we can add value to the process.
On your platform, for example, I won't use a specific. I'll say XYZ airline, and maybe you see, well, I could use the word deficiency. Maybe something that
Hmm.
they could be doing better, whatever. So you present this to this company and says, "Hey, we found this, in your inventory or your calculator," and you can give them recommendations, I guess.
Yeah, so we actually have a dashboard that is
Oh, you
a
do?
real
Okay.
time
All right.
dash. Yep. So what we actually deliver is a dashboard that allows them to see exactly what we see, right? And so what the count is. So when I talked about if 50% of the Coca-Colas are coming back or whatever items are coming back, we have a dashboard that will show them exactly what's coming back, and we have the related images as well. And so yes, and the what the dashboard allows them to do is say, I see what happened on this particular flight, or I see what happened over the last month or last 2 months with this particular flight. Now, how can I adjust my forecast for that flight going forward, right? How can I use the data provided by Countify to make sure I'm making better decisions going forward?
What would you suggest, like people like me that maybe I have an interest in artificial intelligence, but I don't know much about it. Maybe I want to learn more, study more, or there could be someone watching this that maybe a college person that would like to get into this. Is there certain? Can you can you recommend some kind of reading or some sort of education to get into this? What would you recommend?
That's a good question. I'm trying to think of what the my very first experience with artificial intelligence was YouTube University. I
YouTube
can't lie.
University. All right.
YouTube University. Going to YouTube, getting understanding. There's a wealth of knowledge on YouTube to kind of learn about what artificial intelligence is, how it helps, and kind of how it's being used. I would say that's the best, easiest, and cheapest way to start. So if someone wants to start
Okay.
that right now, they can go to YouTube right now and Google, I want to learn about artificial intelligence. That's the cheapest way. I would say the next step would be, once you're really interested, you can go, Amazon has several books on artificial intelligence, deep learning, machine learning are the three topics that are kind of synonymous with each other. There are a lot of differences in those, but if you look up artificial intelligence, deep learning and machine learning are three topics that will get you started.
Okay. On artificial intelligence, how would you say, or what would you say the history is? I mean, I guess when I think of artificial intelligence, I'm thinking the computer side,
Right.
But
Yep.
how long would you say in the history of our technology has that been around, or when did that, I guess you could say, first starting appearing?
Yeah, that's a good question. Artificial intelligence has to be. I don't know exactly when artificial intelligence started. What my company does, we focus on computer vision. And so computer vision is actually based on a neural network technology that was started at Stanford University in the late 1970s.
Oh, the
So
70s. Oh, wow.
70s, yeah.
Okay.
So
Wow.
computer vision itself has been around for a while. Like I said, it's based on neural network technology,
Mm-hmm.
and that does is, how can we make sure, from a vision perspective, the things that we see, we can turn that into data. So what it really means is, how can we turn unstructured data into structured data, right? And I know we can get deep into that, but I
Sure.
think it's not as new of a technology as you think. Neural network technology and the basis of artificial intelligence has been around for a long time.
And I've seen, no, obviously you have seen the advances in artificial intelligence, and I don't have a picture to show, but I saw a video somewhere. I thought it was here in the United States, but it looked like they actually made a robotic dog. Don't know if you saw
I've
it. It
seen
had
that.
and it
I've
could
seen that.
run
Yep.
fast, and I mean it's
Yep.
back up even, and I was like, wow, I
Right.
was so
Yeah.
amazed.
I've seen that one. I've seen that. I think that was at either MIT. I think it was
That
a
sounds right.
computer. It was a computer science department at MIT, I think, that was working on that dog. And there's a lot of robots. Truthfully, there's a lot of animal or human simulated type robots that people are. I mean, you see drones now, right? Think about drones that people
Everywhere.
are using
Mm-hmm.
all over the place, right? So that's another, not necessarily artificial intelligence, but it is a way for you to use computer uh, tech into making something move. And I guess it is artificial intelligence, right? If you can pick something up, you can have things. Amazon is starting to deliver things with drones now as well. So
Absolutely.
there's a plethora of use cases in the tech world.
You brought up a good point. In fact, I'd like to kind of reinforce this with my audience. And I'm guilty of it too. When I thought of artificial intelligence, I'm gonna think it's a robot. It's a robot. It
Right.
has to be a robot,
Right.
but not necessarily. I mean, artificial intelligence. Again, I'm glad you brought that up. You mean it could be just a simple calculator.
Exactly.
Is
Exactly.
artificial. Your iPhone, your cell phone is artificial intelligence. So, I mean, I guess I myself, and anybody else in my audience, but I limited my knowledge. Like, okay, when I hear AI, again, you mentioned I Am Legend, not I Am Legend, I Robot,
Right.
and
Right.
the Terminator movies. So yeah, it's so there's so much of a broad, if I can use the word, definition of
It is a
artificial
broad definition.
intelligence.
But if you take the two words and you think about it, it's still intelligence, right? And you think about intelligence, what I can do, what a human can do from an intelligence perspective, what your brain can do, and the artificial. It's really just, how can I mimic what a human brain can do? It's
Hmm.
really all this. It's really the basis of those two words put together. And so it doesn't have to be complicated at all. It can be, like I said, a simple calculator, even to you talking in your house, and Alexa, you asking Alexa, a question about history
Or
or
Siri, even,
about is Alexa, Siri, yeah, exactly. Asking them about a complicated math question or what happened in ancient Rome, like, and they can spit out the answer to you very very quickly.
Now, you mentioned earlier in the broadcast, I first brought you on, you're in Georgia, correct?
Exactly. I'm in
But
Atlanta, Georgia.
do you do to a certain geographic area in the United States, or do you go all over the states, or even international? How far do you go with your business?
Yep, we're international.
International, okay.
We are international. We have clients. We have a client now, a main client in Dubai right now. So I've been
Wow.
in Dubai. We work with clients in Europe. So yeah, all over. Of course, clients in the U.S. as well. But we are an international company.
Interesting. Well, let's just say, I mean, there might be someone either watching this live or maybe watch it days, weeks, months from now, and I'll bring up your website again.
Hmm.
And maybe he, she, they, or that company is interested. Is this the best place to get a hold of you? What would you suggest, like a new prospective client should do at this point?
Yep, you can go to countify.com. That's a very simple way to get a hold of us, me at the company. There is a more info. You can request a demo on as well. You can also reach me. My name is David. Very very simple. David at countify.com is how you can reach me, or info, even info at countify.com, that you can really reach me or reach the team.
Very, very interesting. So, and they can do, do you go actually to the client's business, or can you do Zoom meetings, or kind of how do you set the meetings up?
Yep. So in the very beginning, we it's a learning process. As I say, is we
Okay.
take a very consultative approach where we do go. We'll have a Zoom call to get an understanding of what their
Sure.
concerns are, right? And we're not Zoom. We're Zoom agnostic, so we can do Zoom or Skype or Google Meet or Teams. It doesn't matter. But we can have a conference call on whatever platform the potential client wants, and then eventually we will come visit. We will come visit, and their area, where their inventory is housed. We'll come visit the kitchen facility or the storeroom or whatever, and to get a real sight, because we will actually physically come to install the cameras if they decide to use hardware cameras or our mobile app. But we have to see the items just to make sure we understand, and to make sure we can deliver value too.
Sure.
Right, right. We
Absolutely.
have to make sure that we understand the problem and we can deliver value.
Kind of the comment here. This is kind of maybe a line, but like that's just such a comment, not a question. Cheese Freak says, according to Snowden, I guess Edgar Snowden, even if your phone is off, it isn't off. The phone is always listening. I've heard that, but now what's your opinion about that?
That's a good question. I think when the phone is off, I compare it to when my phone is dead. Off to me means dead. When my phone is dead, I don't think it works at all. I don't think anything is happening.
You mean when you
Now,
turned it
when
off? Okay.
right when I turn it off, I don't think I think it's dead. Now that still doesn't mean when your phone is on and it literally lights up, just like you can call Siri and something happens, it is definitely still on. Just like
Hmm.
in your house, so you call Siri, you call Alexa, like those words are programmed, which means it's listening to everything you say, including when you say Alexa or including when you say Siri,
And getting
right?
trying to
And
get
so
directions. They know where you're going.
exactly. They know when you wake up in the morning, your way to work, right? Because the phone has a location detector as well, right?
Yeah.
Phone has a location detector, so it knows that after work you like to go to the grocery store, or you like to go to the gym after work. Like it recognizes your patterns, and so I don't know if you've ever realized that if you're on the phone or driving places, it might ask, "Are you close to a grocery store?" Or a sale item, an item that you might have purchased might come up on your phone. So yes, these phones, when they are on, they are listening. But when they're off, I'm not too sure about
I say, yeah, good comment. You never know. In fact, now this I don't want to get too far off the topic here. We don't talk about AI, but a funny story. I read a story online where there was a couple, and they had talked away from their phones that they didn't want a cat. They had no interest in having a
it.
cat.
Okay.
So what they did, they had their phones not just had it on, but they were talking among themselves in their apartment about, I wonder what it'd be like to get a cat. Oh, we ought to get a cat. And they, but
Hmm.
for days later on, they kept getting ads for cat food.
Yeah,
Now, how
I can believe that.
scary is that?
I can believe that. I can believe it. I can believe that. I can believe that. I mean, like I said, the these systems are meant to, in a sense, sell you more, right? If you think about
Hmm.
what Apple's goal is, what Android's goal is, what Amazon's goal is to increase their revenue, right? These are public companies that want more money, and
Hmm.
so their goal is to say, hey, how can we? And a part of that, how, in a sense, how can we make it easier for you? How can we make it easier for you to spend your money so you don't have to think about it? You want a cat? Yep, we're gonna put some cat food on to constantly remind you of it. Because once you buy cat food once and you have a cat, now you're gonna increase your revenue, increase your spend, but constantly buying cat food.
Again, efficiency too.
The
So
efficiency, right? And it's easy. I can just say it. It pops up. I hit one button, and it's delivered to my house.
we'll see. In my case, my phone. I told you I talked about my CPAP. They know my
Right?
sleep patterns. So
Exactly.
but it does help because it tells me if there's a leak in my mask. That tells me I need to
Hmm.
get the mask replaced or just make sure it's sealed better.
Yeah.
It'll tell me. So again, artificial intelligence is very very necessary.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, especially in medical issues, right? When there's anything
Absolutely.
that in medical issues, it tells you more information than you would not have had before, right? And so, and whenever it can help make someone healthier, save a life, I think it's very needed. And we have to, it'd be great to embrace that.
I like what you said about health issues. I know airlines are important too. I'm not taking that away, but like in health issues, like if say someone had your system, and I won't name a specific hospital, say XYZ hospital,
Right.
and you know John Doe comes in with XYZ symptom. Okay, all of a sudden Jane comes in with XYZ. More people are coming in with these suspicious symptoms. I mean, would that be something that they would catch? Like, hey, why are all these patients suddenly coming in with this same thing? Or like, couldn't a computer tell you, hey, these people 1 through 25 had the same symptoms? I mean, just an example.
Yeah, so from artificial intelligence, yes, like an artificial
Yes, well,
intelligence
yeah, I
system
meant. Uh huh.
we'll be able to tell you, hey, we see an uptick or a rise in this particular ailment, right? What our system, what the counterpart system would be able to do, if that ailment was, let's say, a broken arm or a broken leg for some reason,
Okay.
and now we need more crutches, and we see that these crutches
Inventory.
are
Okay.
exactly, we see that these crutches are leaving the room at a higher or leaving the storeroom at a higher rate than they
Wheelchairs,
were last
bandages.
month.
Okay.
Exactly, exactly. That would
I
that would
understand.
be that would be an indication that people are breaking their leg more, or something has happened more with broken bones, something like that. So that's how.
I
But
see.
that's
I
like
understand.
a very yeah, that's a very indirect way. But there are computer systems from a hospital perspective to understand. Hey, we see a rise in a broken leg, or we see a rise in cold or something like that.
Or we see a rise in a need for these type of medical supplies for
Exactly.
people. People are needing
Exactly.
this more. I think that's very,
Exactly.
very important, especially, and again, airlines are important. Airline safety is, has to be up here, but people's health, yeah, I admire what you're doing, David. I think that's really, I think that would really benefit. If anybody is watching this, that is, connected to the airline industry or the health profession, this is something I think that would really, really benefit you and your company.
Yeah, we try. I mean, we are very upfront, and we've turned clients down before. We say, hey, we don't think that our solution is best for you, right? Because
Hmm.
we want to make sure that we're not wasting anyone's time. We're very transparent in kind of what we do and how we do it, and we have to get an understanding of what our clients' concerns are and how hopefully we can help address them. But if we can't, we'll tell you. This is probably not the best solution for you. But if things change, then please reach back out to us.
When you talked about how you can reach out to the client, like alert them, like on whatever inventory, concerns are, how do you do that? Do you do it to an email? Can they do an app on their phone? What's the best way? Like you would email, or contact an airline or a health about a inventory issue, if I could.
Yeah, so they have a dashboard. So we
Oh,
build a
dashboard. You mentioned
customized.
dashboard, right?
So we
Okay.
build a customized dashboard for our clients where they interact with on a regular basis. So it's usually someone in finance, someone in inventory management or supply chain that would
Mm-hmm.
say, "Hey, I need to understand these inventory processes." And our dashboard that we built together, like we'll sit down, meet, get an understanding of their concerns, and we'll build our dashboards. It's usually based on certain key performance indicators or KPIs
Mm-hmm.
that they care about, or that group or that department is graded on. And so we present that dashboard, to build that dashboard for them, so they're alerted by looking through at the dashboard and getting a better understanding of their inventory movement.
So basically, depending on the company, you can customize their dashboard depending on their independent needs.
Oh yeah, no, every dashboard is customized, right? Because
Okay.
one airline needs might be totally different than another airline's needs, or one hospital's needs is totally different than another hospital's needs. So what we do is we go in and we meet and we say, hey, we've seen these 4 or 5 issues before. So we have these canned templates that you can potentially use, but we also can customize it and say, but what are your specific concerns? What are your specific needs? So we make sure our dashboards can meet those.
Let's see. So
Yeah.
I'm glad we had this conversation because when me personally, anybody else, when you say artificial intelligence, I'm talking about the general populace overall. The first thing
Right.
they think is, more people are going to be thrown out of work, replaced
Right.
by a
That's true.
machine. We've heard that. We've already discounted that theory. That doesn't
Right.
happen because you still need engineers, you still need developers, you still need
You still need
quality
people.
assurance.
That's right.
So
You still
it's
need a
just
lot of people.
exactly
Right.
you're basically we're training for another technological job, and we think we've also, thanks to me, we've killed this image. I mean,
Right.
it
Exactly.
can include this. I don't want to
Yeah.
discount it. It can include that, but it's not. I should say it's not limited to robots,
Oh,
right?
definitely not. Definitely not. Definitely not. It is. If you're against artificial intelligence, you might as well throw your phone away.
Or calculator or whatever.
Throw
Yeah,
your calculator away. Throw your phone away. Throw all the technology you have around you away, because it's intended to make your life easier. Now, of course, people can adjust things and make things bad, right? But I think those movie images, iRobot, Terminator, are really just to get you in the theater, right? But
right. And
for
scare you a little bit.
and scare you a little bit, But the goal for Counterfy is how can we make things as simple as possible and help you save money, get back to your core business, right? As we
Right.
know, because we're focused on airlines, airlines do a great job of getting people from point A to point B most of the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hospitals do a great job of making sick people well. And so what our job is, let us handle some of these back office inventory issues so you can focus on your core business. We can focus on your core business, and we can worry about the other things.
And of course, again, I'll repeat what I said earlier in this broadcast. When you have artificial intelligence at a company such as yours, David, I mean, it reduces human error. I mean, unfortunately, maybe not intentionally, but we do miscount. We
Oh,
can
definitely,
enter
definitely.
our code wrong. Where if you have artificial intelligence, there is no error rate.
Right. Exactly. No, so you're exactly right. Sometimes in computer vision, there still might be some errors, a small, very small percentage of error, depending on lighting and how the picture was taken. All right. So I'm not saying we're 100%. I don't want to get that message, but what we found, and I've done a ton of inventories. That's how I kind of got in this business. I've been the one on weekends or at night counting widgets or counting tires or counting cars. And I've made those mistakes, right? I've made a ton of those mistakes.
I have too.
Yeah,
I'm just as guilty.
exactly. So I'm like, how? And we started this company to say, how can we, one, add efficiency to the process. And David has better things to do. David doesn't have to be up at 1 o'clock in the morning counting items when the factory is closed, or counting items at night or early in the morning when no one's there. So how can we add some efficiency to that and get David back to doing things that are more important to the company?
Absolutely. Well, I
Yeah.
hope, if anything, one thing we want to promote your company. I'll bring that website up again. But for my audience, now see, and me included, see, artificial intelligence doesn't have to be scary. There's no Terminators knocking on your door. So,
Right.
artificial intelligence actually, if I can say this, David, it works for us. We don't work for
It
it.
does.
It works on our behalf. We control it. So there is no Skynet. There's no, wayward server anywhere. So
Right.
yeah, I mean, and it's everywhere. I mean, I'll repeat that it's not just robots. It's any computer thing, gadget in your house right now. So
Exactly.
yeah,
It's very well put. It's very well put. The goal is to make your life easier, and that's what we try to do. Make your life easier. Make it more efficient. right? And from a overall global goal, how can we, decrease waste, increase sustainability, things like that. But there's not, we're not out to get you. I would say that.
Right. Okay. Perfect. I'm going to bring the website up again, ladies and gentlemen. And like again, if you are an owner or a manager of airlines or hospital in particular, or any other business, you can always contact David and just see if this is something he can do for you. I'm going to bring up the website again. Am I saying it? Countify?
Countify. Number 2 was better. Countify. Count and verify. Count and verify. Countify.
Okay. I was going to ask you how you got that. So yeah, now it makes sense. Okay. Because I was thinking, how did he get that? Countify, verify.
Yeah, that's what we do. We count and we verify. Nice and simple. I like to keep it simple, man. I like to keep it simple.
So, ladies and gentlemen, go to www.countify.com and just see what's interesting out there. I'm going to really check this website out myself, even though I don't own my own company, but I am interested in artificial intelligence, and I am, in a way, in the technology profession, not as advanced as this, but this would be something I think would benefit everybody. And again, it's the wave of the future. I mean, I see, the more high schoolers and college kids getting into AI. As to me, I've just seen an exponential growth in this particular technology. Have you? I guess you have too.
Yes, you're definitely right. You're definitely right. I mean, my kids have a coding class now, right?
Your kids even?
Oh, kids, wow. Yeah, kids are coding. Kids are building websites, things like that. So, I mean, I think it's really time to embrace it, especially the people who might not have been a little apprehensive in the beginning.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I think, coding is something. Computer science is, a growing college, even a high school major, right? So you have a lot more opportunities to learn about technology, to learn about artificial intelligence and machine learning. So yes, embrace it.
Definitely is the wave of the future. David, I appreciate you being on the Van Buren Variety Show. I would love to have you back just to get an update. I mean, there's so many more topics we could talk about on artificial intelligence. It's really an interesting. Again, I'm on the technology part. I'm a software tester myself, so this is another step that I think I'm gonna have to buy that book, Artificial Intelligence for Dummies.
Right, exactly. Yeah, buy it or write it. Right, if they don't have it, you can write it.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, definitely. Exactly. I could definitely write it. Well, David,
Bob, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
I wish you the best, and thank you very much for coming on. And we wish you all the good luck in the future.
No problem at all. Thank you for having me, and I hope your guests enjoy the show.
Thanks, David. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it all for tonight's episode of the Van Buren Variety Show. Those of you that watched this live, thank you for your participation, and we welcome your questions. So just because the show is over, you can still leave a comment, and if you have a question for David, I'll make sure that he sees it. And also, again, I want to repeat, all the newcomers that are watching this show, whether you're watching this live, days, weeks, months from now, if you like what you see, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because there'll be more and more shows coming up. Interesting guests with interesting topics. Again, it could be a profession, it could be a hobby, it could be someone doing a how-to segment, and I might even have some musicians coming up, and there'll be some more subjects coming your way. And if you've got a suggestion, make sure you leave a comment, and I can definitely put them on as well, whoever you're suggesting. So I will see you next week with another interesting guest, another interesting topic. So until then, I hope everybody has a great evening, and good night.